Genius Nation, what's going on? Welcome to a brand new day. This is the Daily Genius, and I am Dr. Will. As always, super excited that you are here with us. Hope wherever you are in the world that your day is started out magnificent and you're ready to dominate. For those of you that are watching this outside of the nation, when I talked about Genius Nation, I'm referring to our private Facebook group that has over 1,000 individuals that are committed to becoming the best version of themselves and creating their best life. So if that sounds like you, if that's your mindset, you want to become a better version of yourself and create a life that you love, I invite you to join our private Facebook group on Facebook. Just go look up Genius Nation and you will find us. What we want to do is provide you with tips and tools and solutions to help you become the better version of yourself. So thank you for joining us today. We're on this journey. We're on a journey of 365 videos. I'm showing up every single day for the nation. And this is episode number 83. So look how fast that time is passing. We're almost up to episode 100. Think about that. This journey started 83 days ago. And so you see how time is just going. Time is not standing still. Time is moving. Time is moving. So when you think about that, 365, that sounds like a huge number, almost 400, right? But we're already up to episode number 83. So time is not waiting for anybody. Time is moving. That's why I always tell my clients, you have time, you just don't have time to play. So you have time, you just don't have time to play. So I want to talk to you today about becoming a student. Becoming a student. That's the game changer, guys. That's the game. What takes the average to the extraordinary? What makes Kobe Kobe? What makes LeBron LeBron? What made Jordan Jordan? What made Tom Brady Tom Brady? What makes the great individuals that we see crushing it? This is what I've figured out. They don't only rely on their talent. They don't only rely on their gifting. They become students of the craft. They become students of business. And so my challenge for you today is to become a student, whatever industry you're in. Don't just be in the industry, become a student of the industry. Whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you are a business owner, whether you are a career professional, whatever industry you play in, become a student of that industry. You know, I'm a professional speaker. This is an industry that we in. So if you call yourself a professional speaker, and if I asked you about the history of professional speaking, what could you tell me? If I asked you, what is the forecast for the speaking industry in the next 5 to 10 years? Would you be able to tell me? What information do you read about the industry? What are you absorbing about the industry? Who are you modeling in the industry? Who has come before you? Who will come after you? Who is hot right now? How much of the industry are you studying? Because that's the game changer. See, when I got into this particular industry that I'm in, speaking industry, one of the things that propelled me to the next level is I became a student of the industry. I studied the best of the best. If I take you back to when I started like everybody else, bright-eyed, motivated, ready to conquer the world. But that's not what moves the needle. That's not what makes you successful. And so what I literally did was I took a 9-month period where I said, you know what? I'm going to study the best of the best. What makes Les Brown, Les Brown? What makes Zig Ziglar, Zig Ziglar? What makes Jim Rohn, Jim Rohn? What makes Tony Robbins, Tony Robbins? What makes Lisa Nichols, Lisa Nichols? And I started to study all the giants of industry. And I began to study how they built their business. And so in studying, I realized, oh, the separator was they was approaching it like a business. Everybody else was approaching it like a hobby or a passion. But the best of the best, they were approaching it like a business. And when I made that critical shift to look at my speaking, not just as a passion, but as a business, that's when everything changed for me. That's when I went from being a virtually unknown speaker to being named one of the top 10 speakers in the world, because I started to approach it. So I understood the importance of marketing. I understood the importance of positioning. I understood the importance of relationships. I understood the importance of showing up and being consistent, because that's what you do in a business. See, as a hobby is whenever I find time, whenever I have a little extra time, I'll dibble and I'll dabble. But if you want to dominate, you're not going to be able to dibble and dabble. If you want to dominate, you got to go all in, right? You can't halfway jump in the pool. Once you make that commitment to jump in the pool, you're going all in. There is no halfway jumping in the pool. Now, you see some other people over there in the shallow end, and they're just dabbling their toes in the water, but they're not submersed. When you go into the deep end and you jump, you're all in. You're all in. And to be all in means to become a student. So whatever industry you're in, when I came into the industry and I made the choice, wait a minute, I'm not just going to be in this industry. I'm going to be a leader of the industry. I'm going to be a leader in the industry. That was my mindset coming in, that I was going to be a leader in the industry. And to be able to be a leader in the industry, you got to be a student. And so when we look years now, when we look 15 years later down the road, this is why we're able to have an academy. This is why we're able to have one of the top selling speaker magazines. This is why I've been able to write 6 or 7 books just for this industry, because I became a student of the industry. And because I became a student of the industry, I'm a leader in the industry. So I'm not just a speaker, I'm a leader in the industry of speaking. And if you really want to go to the next level, and if you really want to have legacy and you want to have longevity in what you're doing, you want to become a student. So that's my challenge for you. Are you a student? Even if you're a career professional, right? Here's the deal. You know, after you've been on your job for 90 days, everybody knows this. You get the routine. You know the routine. You know, reports got to be due on Friday. It doesn't take you the whole week to do that. So you know what? I'm going to dial it in. I'll look at it on Wednesday. I'll really start honing in on it on Thursday, finish it, close the business on Thursday, you know, review it on Friday morning. You got your schedule. You know what you need to do to keep your job. But I don't want you to have that mindset. I don't want you to have a mindset that I'm just doing enough to keep my job. I don't care what your position is. I want you to wake up every single morning and I want you to go into that building like you own the place. And so now that you've been able to, you know, get your routine down, what's the thing that you can do next? What's the thing that you can do next in your particular position, whether they give this award or not? But what would you need to do to be employee of the month? What would you need to do to be employee of the quarter? What would you need to do to be employee of the year? Whether they give this particular award or not, in your mind, to be able to get to that level, you got to become a student. So what would it look like? Whatever industry you're in, if you just did a simple Google search on articles of your industry and you started studying your industry and you started saying, oh, wait a minute, I just read this article and this is what this article said about our industry. I read this other article and this is what this article said. And then you went to your boss or your CEO or your supervisor and you said, hey, I was reading in Newsweek or I was reading in the Harvard Review and they said in textiles that this is where our industry is going to be in 25 years. Is that in alignment with what we're thinking? Is that in alignment in what we're doing as a company, as an organization? If you started having those types of conversations with your leaders, what would eventually happen? They would begin to see you as a leader. They wouldn't begin to just see you as another employee. They would start to see you as an individual of value. You don't have to be in the corporate meetings with them. You don't have to be in the board meeting with them. You could just boom, email your supervisor, email your boss, email your CEO, and say, hey, do you mind if I come by your office for about 10 minutes on Monday, on Tuesday? And when you got there, you started saying things like, hey, I was reading this article, or I just read this book by this great author that talks about our industry. What if you went and did a deep dive into your company? How much do you know about your company? How much do you know about your company? Beyond just your job, how much do you know about your company? How much do you know about the mission? Do you know why he or she started the company? Do you know the history of the company? Do you know the projections, the vision, the mission for the next 10, 20, 25 years of that company? That's how you begin to separate yourself. That's how you separate yourself, right? Associations and organizations inside your industry. You know, once again, for me, I'm a public speaker. So if you ask me, Will, what are some of the associations and organizations inside the speaking industry? I would be able to tell you. What's the history of speaking? Who is Robert Cavett, right? The founder of National Speakers Association. Would you be able to tell somebody about your industry? If somebody came to you and said, hey, I'm interested in getting in your industry, can you tell me something about it? That's when you become a student. That's what makes the difference between those that are average and those that are extraordinary. So my question for you, are you here to dabble or are you here to dominate? Because if you're here to dominate, then you got to become a student. So think about that. Where are you on that scale? Are you dabbling or are you dominating? All right, guys, that's what I have for you on today. Go out there as always and be amazing. And once again, don't dabble, dominate.